No, I'm not like old school, but I had this oh wow moment the other day in the store when I realized that most of the people on my staff weren't even born when I started doing this. Like, that's wild. Not even born when I started to do this. What's going on, Pizza Fam? Look, I appreciate each one of you for listening to this show, listening to this episode. Before we get back to it, I wanted to tell you about my favorite product right now, Todd's Curry Sauce. I met these guys at the Florida Restaurant Show, Pizza Tomorrow Summit, and I'm telling you, ever since I tried that sauce, I have been putting it on everything in the shop. Chicken wings, pizza, you've seen the pizzas, chicken sandwich, salad dressing. Like, we've been putting Todd's curry sauce on everything, and I'm here to give you a special deal, special offer. Go to their website, toddscurrysauce.com, use code Pizza King, and get 10% off your next order. I promise you, you only need to try it one time. It's going to be the best curry sauce you ever tasted in your life. You're going to start putting it on all kinds of stuff in your shop, even at home. I got a bottle in the pantry here at the house. I got a bottle at the shop. Elliot, Todd, I need another bottle because I'm putting it everywhere. I'm putting it on everything. So go check it out. Use code Pizza King and get 10% off your next order. Peace. Let's get back to it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Pizza King podcast. I'm your host, Tyrell Reed. And tonight I really want to talk about something that I know every single operator out there is dealing with, and that's managing Gen Z employees. Now, full disclosure, I still consider myself young at heart. Like, I feel like I'm not like old school, but I had this oh wow moment the other day in the store when I realized that most of the people on my staff weren't even born when I started doing this. Like, that's wild. Not even born when I started to do this. I've got the children of the people that I came up working with working for me now. Like, kids that I know, kids that I seen born. I remember one in particular. Literally, I worked with her mom. She was handling like the admin for one of the stores that I was working for. Pregnant, had a baby. That baby works for me now. Like, so the world has changed. And there's a huge gap. There's a huge generational gap. But with that gap comes a challenge. Leading a team that communicates differently, that thinks differently, and expects more from the experience than we did at their age creates some issues inside and around the restaurant. So in this episode, I want to share what's actually working for me, what's working for me right now, when it comes to leading Gen Z in a restaurant. No theories, just talking about what we're really doing and how we've kind of, worked through this. And not saying we have it all totally figured out, because we still are, obviously we still have issues. A lot of restaurants are, but here's some of the things that have been working for us. I thought I'd just dive in for a few minutes today and just and help you see it from my perspective as an operator who's led teams through, teams of Gen Xers, millennials like myself, and now, the generation Y, the Gen Zs, 4 generations of staff teaches you some lessons. But let's start with the obvious. And this may be unpopular opinion, but Gen Z is not lazy. I said it. Let me say it. I'm going to say it directly into the mic. Gen Z is not lazy. They're just wired differently. This is a generation that grew up with the internet in their pockets. They expect instant answers. They value authenticity, and they can spot fake leadership from a mile away. That's why you don't like them. I ain't say that though. But they also have a lower tolerance for, just do it because I said so style of leadership that a lot of us were raised on and came up and responded very well to. Do it because I said so. That doesn't really work for them anymore. Some of the things that I see are some of the common challenges that I've seen when it comes to Gen Z. And I'm saying this as someone who has not only owned and run pizza shops, but I spent a good bit of time in the fast food world where you hire mostly teenagers. These are some commonalities even over in that segment. They value structure, but they want flexibility. They need clear expectations, but they hate micromanagement. They respond way better to coaching than to criticism, and they're more aware of how they're being treated now. Tone matters way more than we think. And I'm guessing a lot of this sounds familiar if you're working and dealing with some of these folks on your team. There's a few things that we've adopted that are really starting to work for me and for us in our restaurant. The first one and the biggest one is probably taking the time to explain the why. Like when I take that extra 10 seconds to explain why I'm asking someone to do something, not just what to do, it builds buy-in real quick. Quick example. If you tell somebody, hey, this is like literally something that we had to deal with. We all go through our pre-close stuff, and the drivers were starting to shut the store down a little bit too soon, or they were mopping the floor too early, and having to put the wet floor sign out. So it was, hey, guys, let's just wait until we're closer, to our close time before we mop the lobby, so that we don't create additional slip hazards as customers are still coming in to pick up orders. Not just, hey, don't mop yet. Hey, wait till wait till 8:30 before you mop. No, it's, hey, we're gonna wait till 8:30 before we mop in the lobby, because we don't want to create additional hazards when customers are coming in and they're slipping on the floor, or they're afraid to walk on it because the floor is wet. Let's just wait on that. Goes from a chore to a reason. And they respond to stuff like that. They're fine, because then they go find something else to do. All right, sorry, I was just trying to get it done. No, it's all good. We needed to explain the why. Second biggest thing was coaching in the moment versus having like these big formal sit downs. And I'm still a big fan of formal performance reviews, especially when it comes to leadership development. But for the team in general, just having quick coaching moments, telling somebody, hey, you did a nice job handling that. You stayed calm. You didn't, that guest was a little bit rude. You handled your business. I really appreciate that. That showed a lot of leadership. Those small moments, that's how you build confidence with folks, and how you create this culture of, people looking out for each other. When you notice those things and you acknowledge it, that's huge. Even if it's just in a one-on-one, you acknowledge it. But if you acknowledge it publicly, even better. Third one is small wins. This generation values the small win, the quick win. Give it to them. Give them those opportunities. They thrive on progress and purpose. I started recognizing the micro wins, we call them, not just, we hit our sales goal, or we didn't have any issues on orders. We start talking about effort, teamwork, growth. Like, man, shout out to Matt. 2 weeks ago, you was really struggling, getting through that rush. You handled it, no problem tonight. I see you crushing it. Shout out to Bailey. You really did a great job, handling the phones tonight. You got a little backed up last week. Tonight you killed it. Little stuff like that creates some momentum. It helps people want to get better at things when you can start to recognize those. So take those opportunities. Another good one was flexibility. Now, I'm saying you have to be firm where it matters, but I encourage you to be flexible where you can. It doesn't mean that anything goes. We still have a bunch of non-negotiables in the restaurant, like showing up on time, taking care of the guests first, treating everybody right, treating everybody with respect. Non-negotiable. But we can be flexible in a lot of areas. Who chooses the playlist tonight? Hey, what we doing for uniforms on Friday? Who's shift swaps? Don't care. As long as we're covered. You can swap, do what you got to do. We're very flexible on things like that. Scheduling, flexible on shifts, swapping things out. They can, as long as they work it out. That gives them a lot of freedom. My next piece of advice would be use tools that they're already comfortable with. But like, we've taken the approach of leaning into the technology, voice notes, group chats, scheduling apps like 7Shifts. Ours, we have one integrated into the POS, but things like 7Shifts or hot schedules, things like that work very, very well, because these are things that they're already used to. They already do group chat. They're already texting, use stuff like that. Why not just meet them halfway? Sometimes it becomes an adjustment for us as operators and owners to learn how to use those things, but meet your team halfway and learn how to use that technology so that they can take some things off of your plate. And look, don't get me wrong, we still post the schedule on the wall every week. But when you post the schedule on the wall and then you hit a reminder in a group chat, you get quicker responses, you get fewer no-shows, you get more collaboration on it. And then the last tip, really a bonus tip for you. This is like the secret weapon for real. Every single month, I let the team choose or vote on something that happens in the restaurant. We do a lot with our secret menu. We always like to, play a little music and do things like that. we start to give ownership of the team, to the team of things like that. What kind of slice pies are we going to throw out? Let's create something special. Let's, what special y'all want to run this weekend? We got, a rotating set of weekend deals that we like to run. We start to give a little bit of input on things like that. It makes everybody feel like their voice matters. And it goes a long way in keeping people engaged and keeping them encouraged and keeping it fun. That's the main thing, like keeping it fun and it's just having an environment where people just, they want to show up and they want to do these things. Like, these folks aren't lazy. I said it before. They're not lazy. They're just wired differently. And if you can learn how they're wired, you can lead them better. But the real kicker was that I had to have a whole shift in mindset. The whole process of learning how to work with these kids who I thought were lazy, who I thought were entitled, forced me to slow down and forced me to listen a little bit more, forced me to lead with intention, because experience didn't matter. They didn't care how long I've been doing it or how fast I can make a pizza or how good my stuff. They don't care about that. They care about how much I cared about them. So, my advice to you is understanding that managing this generation and Gen Z is not about lowering the bar or lowering your expectations. It's about shifting how you lead so that you can raise the bar together. Because once you understand them, that's when things start to really take a turn in your operation. And it's so fun when you have a fun team. It's so much more fun when the team is having fun. If people are engaged, it makes it so it doesn't feel like work. And like I always tell you, look, if you hate being there, everybody else is going to hate being there. So have some fun in there. Encourage some people. Turn it up a little bit. I got a challenge for you this week for all my operators out there. Real quick challenge. Find one new way to connect with your Gen Z crew. It could be quick coaching moment like we talked about. Hey, you did great. It could be asking for input. That's a secret weapon. I'm telling you that. Be careful how you use it. Even if you don't use the input that they give you, just the fact that you received it, you asked and you received it, goes a long way. And eventually you will use one of those ideas, but keep asking. But like we said before, okay, quick win. Do something this week. Have a quick coaching moment, ask for input, or even just explaining the simple why behind a task. Try it out and see how your team responds, because I promise you, you're going to get positive results. And if you got something that you've been working on and it's working for you, tell me, come share, come on the show. Let's talk about it, because I want to share more real world stories from other operators, not just what's happening in my shop. I want to bring you on and tell your story and talk about how you're doing so that we can help somebody else do it just as well or better. But that's it for this week. Thank you for tuning in to the Pizza King podcast. As always, I appreciate you all for being here. Don't forget to go leave us some feedback, leave us a review, 5 stars everywhere. I'll catch you on the next one. I'm your host, Tyrell Reed. Peace.